All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name's Tom Garrity. I'm the Director of Communications for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. What we're going to do today is provide a preview of the 50th event. And to help do that, we're going to have several speakers today. The first speaker will be Al Tetrault. Al Tetrault is the President of the Board of Directors. I'll share a little bit more information about him in just a moment. We're also going to hear from Paul Smith, who is the Executive Director of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Then we're going to hear from Sam Parks, who's the Director of Operations for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. We'll hear from Stephanie Prendergast. She is the Head of Sponsorship Sales. And we're also going to hear from Chris Gallegos. Chris is a longtime 18-year launch director with the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta to share some of his thoughts. Following, we'll have a very brief question answer, and all of the people here today will be available for one-on-ones following the briefing. So, all right. So with that, what I'd like to do is invite Al Tetrault to the podium. Mr. Tetrault is the president of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta's board of directors, and it is his first year here, but not his first year with Balloon Fiesta. So with that, Mr. Tetrault.
All right, thank you very much. I saw you folks a little earlier, didn't I?
Long time no see.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me take this opportunity on behalf of the board and of the Balloon Fiesta to welcome the media to this great event, and Albuquerque and the world. We are the world's signature event as far as balloon goes. We're the premier event for ballooning in the entire world. Everybody wants to come to Albuquerque, which is exciting to me. One of the big things that we had this year, which is kind of nice, is our governor gave us a proclamation. And I'm going to read from this, please forgive me. Whereas on April 8th, 1972, 13 hot air balloons launched from Coronado Center to celebrate the 50th anniversary of KOB radio. Whereas the result of these brave pilots, under the direction of pilot Sid Cutter, have become to what we know today as the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Whereas the Balloon Fiesta has set multiple records as the largest event of its kind in the world, including the world's greatest mass ascension. This year we're going to have some exciting things, and I'm sure Sam or Paul's going to fill you in on our little balloons. Whereas this year's Balloon Fiesta will begin on October 1st, which is Saturday, but actually will start September 30th this year, not at the field, but at Coronado Center. Will be commemorated with the launch of 13 hot air balloons from Coronado Center in Albuquerque on September 30th, 2022 to celebrate 50, I repeat, 50 incredible years. Whereas there are 648 balloon pilots registered to fly, including 120 special shapes, 83 remote control balloons, and 9 gas balloons. Whereas we have 22 countries coming to the Balloon Fiesta this year, and they include Austria, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Croatia, the Czech Republic, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Lithuania, Mexico, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, Switzerland, Taiwan, Turkey, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom. This is one thing that I think you all ought to know. Whereas the Balloon Fiesta's 9-day event generates more than $180 million of direct economic impact to the city of Albuquerque. That's not what the people spend at the event itself. This is outside, both indirect and direct impact. And this is the important thing to remember, and our governor recognized it as well. Whereas the Balloon Fiesta has become the state of New Mexico's signature event. And I think that's really cool. Now, I'd like to take the time to thank our Fiesta sponsors. We are now powered by ExxonMobil. They'll be our presenting sponsor this year and over the next 2 years. I also want to thank all the rest of our sponsors that come out here every year and join us. Like I said earlier, we have 648 pilots. One thing I want to bring up is the 8 gas balloons. We'll have that Saturday night That's a special event. We call it America's Challenge. It's been an exciting event over the years. Some of our people have landed as far as Newfoundland. Isn't that right, Paul? Newfoundland. So that's really cool. And then we have 83 remote control balloons. This is really kind of neat. It's called Los Globitos. And Los Globitos is basically means little balloon in Spanish. And so they'll be out here. That'll be an exciting show as well. So with that, I want to talk about just real briefly about the economic impact. I'm trying. And okay, 186.82. In other words, that's how much money is spent outside the fiesta, which I've already stated. But we generate tax revenue, 6.52 million, state of New Mexico, 4.9 million for the city of Albuquerque, and 1,044 million for Bernalillo County. So you can see what Balloon Fiesta does for the city of Albuquerque and our state. We are really excited. We can't wait for you guys to come out and enjoy Fiesta. And thank you for taking care of us in the media. Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to step back and introduce Paul Smith. Paul?
Great, thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Paul Smith. Paul Smith is the Executive Director of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which is a nonprofit organization. And Mr. Smith.
Thanks. I think Al pretty much covered everything, but I'll just try to fill in a few of the blanks. We're back. We're happy. A few things that we didn't have in 2021 because of COVID concerns, we're back. We have Music Fiesta again this year. Cole Swindell, who has the #1 country song in America for the last 2 weeks, is the headliner. Lainey Wilson is his support act, and then the opener is Restless Road. That'll be the second Saturday of Balloon Fiesta on October 8th. We're going to have a lot of things that are a little bit different this year, but again, we try to keep everything the same. It feels more comfortable that way and makes things a little bit easier, but we always have to keep growing and make a few things. You'll notice there's a new park and ride depot that the city paved up on top of the hill, which will which will provide service from Cottonwood Mall. We'll also have some other areas that have been paved this year. We have changed our parking lot names. It'll be interesting to listen to APD over the radio talking about going to Tweety Bird or Elmer Fudd. But what we're trying to do is address a concern that has happened in the past. A lot of times people will come out to an event, to one of our events, and they'll forget where they parked. So we're color coding all of our parking lots and naming them after Looney Tune characters. So hopefully people will remember that and we'll be able to help direct them back. We'll also have QR codes at different signs around the park where they can click on their lot and get directions back to their lot. Additionally, I'll touch on it a little bit. There's we've already talked about the Commemorative Flight on Friday, which will be at Coronado Center. That's part of our Albuquerque Loft. This year we have almost 200 pilots signed up to fly from more than 100 schools around the Albuquerque area and Rio Rancho. It's something where we try to get the balloons out into the community so that PTAs and the different school groups can make sure that everybody has the opportunity to see the balloons and has the opportunity to raise some money for their schools as well. Part of Albuquerque Loft will be the Commemorative Flight. We'll have 13 balloons launched from Coronado Center, like they did back on April 8th, 1972. And it'll be interesting because we got 3 of the original pilots that are going to be coming back for that. Gene Dennis, Denny Floden, and Carter Tweets. We also have Denise McDonald, who is Matt Whitaker's daughter. She actually flew in the balloon with him on the opening day back in 1972 as well. So in addition to those, we'll have the Commemorative Flight. Hopefully the weather will be good and going out to a direction that the balloons can fly. And that's really about it for me, Tom.
And Paul did get the memo about the purple shirt, and I appreciate that greatly. So what I'd like to do is introduce the Director of Operations, Sam Parks. Sam Parks is also a former balloon meister, and Balloon Fiesta will actually be honoring all the past balloon meisters during the event. And so, Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Tom, and welcome to Balloon Fiesta Park. In a little over 6 days, this park is going to be filled up with tens of thousands of people, and they're all here to see the wonderful stars of Balloon Fiesta, and that's the balloons. And we're very excited this year. We have 648 hot air balloons that are going to be flying with us on Saturday morning, and that's actually the largest number of hot air balloons that we've had in over a decade. So we rolled out the red carpet for all of our international friends this year. We've got 21 different countries that are going to be represented here. We have 120 special shapes, and normally we're about 100. So we actually have 20 brand new special shapes that have never been seen here before. But before the balloons take over the stage on that Saturday morning, our opening ceremonies are going to be quite spectacular. Before the Dawn Patrol takes off at 6 o'clock, there's actually a very special aerial demonstration that's going to be taking place here at the park in the dark. So you're not going to want to miss that. So you want to get here as early as you possibly can, grab that hot chocolate and that breakfast burrito, and you'll want to be here because when you see this, you're going to go, I was there then. So come see this aerial show first thing Saturday morning. Show will be repeated on the weekend mornings and also our evening sessions as well. We're going to be doing we're going to actually attempt to break a couple of world records this year. On Sunday evening, October the 2nd, we're going to achieve hopefully a world record for the greatest number of hot air balloons in a glow, which, you know, our glows here are quite spectacular. In addition to that, this Fiesta de los Globitos, we have 82 of those little rascals this year, which are quarter scale versions of hot air balloons. We're going to be attempting a world record on that Sunday morning, October 2nd, to see if we can inflate the greatest number of RC balloons at any given time. The current record is 55. We have 82, so with good weather, we should be fine. We have all kinds of festivities planned for the 50th celebration because we want to look back at what our founding father, Sid Cutter, did in 1972 when he had this vision of bringing hot air balloons to Albuquerque. We are indeed the world's largest and the world's premier balloon event. We want to continue that legacy that Mr. Cutter started. So this 50th birthday is a way for us to look back at where we came from, but also look ahead of where we're going. So the ballooning is alive and well here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Bring your families, come out and have a great time. Thank you very much.
Sponsorships is something that really helps Balloon Fiesta to be successful. Stephanie Prendergast is the head of sponsorship sales for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, and I'd like to introduce her now.
Good morning. As Tom said, my name is Stephanie Prendergast, and I lead the sponsorship sales team here at Balloon Fiesta. One of the many things that I like about the work our team does for Balloon Fiesta is connecting with our amazing sponsors. This year we're fortunate to have ExxonMobil as our presenting sponsor. In addition, we're also fortunate to have Sandia Resort and Casino, Coca-Cola, Cumulus, and Loveless Health System as sponsors for the 50th Balloon Fiesta. Some of the new names you'll see this year at this event include Meta. They will be sponsoring Monday's competitive event, signified as Meta Day, with a balloon sponsorship as an exhibit space the early part of the week. We'll have Netflix participating as a balloon sponsorship, and PNC Bank sponsoring the Balloon Discovery Center. Thank you for your support of our event. We appreciate it.
All right, and then before we open up for some brief question and answer, I'd like to introduce Launch Director. His name is Chris Padilla, and Chris has been with Balloon Fiesta for 18 years. He has just really contributed to the event even before joining Balloon Fiesta, and that was as an Albuquerque police officer who was coordinating some of the traffic coverage here in the early days of the event. So Mr. Padilla, please.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, as Tom mentioned, I started back in 1995 as a traffic lieutenant, and being out here for every day and 24 hours and stuff almost, it was quite the event, and I got attached to it then. And I even go back to watching the balloons back at Coronado Mall when they first launched, because I live close by. But shortly thereafter, in about 2002 or 2004, a friend of mine asked me if I was interested in becoming a launch director, and I sort of asked him, you know, what did that involve? And he says, come on out and shadow us for a year. And so I followed some of the launch directors that year, and he came back to me and he said, what do you think? I said, I'd love to join you guys. And that was 18 years ago, and I remember almost every year since then. I'm the assistant chief launch. Our responsibility as launch directors is take the information from our balloon meister and pass it on to the people that launch the balloons, the launch directors. We're also known, sorry about that, we're also known as the zebras, based on the black and white attire that all of our folks wear, such as what I'm wearing in my hat today. You know, we've been meeting as our group since about March, and coming out last week and seeing the field transform to what it is today can't help but get you excited about what's coming up, especially the 50th anniversary. My folks are excited. You know, our group is one of groups of, I think we have over 1,200 volunteers that volunteer for this Balloon Fiesta. And, you know, they give us a little swag bag, but a lot of us said we'd do it for nothing because it's just a lot of fun. So with that in mind, a lot of fun, our main responsibility as launch directors is to have a safe, coordinated launch. And that's not just for the pilots and the crews, that's also for the spectators as well. We want to make sure that they have an enjoyable event, that when they do come out here, they do it in a safe manner. So some of those things that we'd like to pass on to the visitors who will be attending the Balloon Fiesta is, you know, we're one of the few ballooning events that allow our visitors to get right up close to the balloons. We invite you to come right up, talk to the pilots, talk to the crews. But be careful when you're doing that you don't step on the balloon. Watch for the fans if they're on and helping to inflate that balloon. Watch for ropes from the crown lines and other ropes that might be around. And then watch for the chase vehicles that are leaving the field after that balloon is launched. In addition, we also have a lot of lost kids that we encounter every year. And then parents, you can assist us not only in thinking about the Tag Your Tots program that the state police has. Their vehicle can be located, their command center right there on Concession Row, about midfield. You can tag your tots there. But we also recommend that you do it well in advance, that you maybe give some identifiers that you put on your child's wrist that gives us information if we do find your child that's lost, that it has the parents' information, a telephone number, and the child's name. And you do that in advance before you get out here. I mean, there's nothing like looking up to the sky and seeing all these beautiful balloons. And so when you think about that, it's very easy as an adult to be looking up, and that child walks away, they see a special shape that they really saw coming in and they wanted to be a part of that, and before you know it, that parent looks down and the child is gone. And so with identifying information, we can help reunite you with your child. Also, let your child know that those of us that are in black and white uniforms, that they can come up to us there if they're lost. We all have radios. We can transmit information about the lost child throughout the field, start looking for that child right away. We pass it on to our fellow launch directors, safety officials, and law enforcement and security throughout the park. Thank you for your attendance today, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the week at the Balloon Fiesta.
All right, I'd like to invite the speakers to join me. A couple of quick things to elaborate as the others are all coming back to the microphone, back to the podium for a brief Q&A, is that as Mr. Padilla had mentioned, there is going to be an opportunity for Tag Your Tots, which is going to be at the north and the south end of Balloon Fiesta Park, as well as mid-stage, as far as near the center stage. So Tag Your Tots, which is actually facilitated by the New Mexico State Police, will be available as well as just that extra backup for parents to participate in when they come in. Also, we're going to be making available just for news media, not for public consumption, a live streaming feed, just as we did last year, and we're streaming today's news conference on that account, which is through Twitch. So we're excited for that, and your live coverage, you're welcome to use it. We're also working on another option as well that we'll share with you once we get confirmation of it. So with that, any questions? Yes, Stella.
You said Sam could probably answer this. When we were at the mayor and governor's press conference, they mentioned 500 new parking spots. Where is that located?
Thank
or
you.
Is it spread out?
Sure. Yeah, Stella, the new parking area that the mayor was referring to is what we call Bugs Bunny. It's the new lot that is north, and we actually used it in a limited capacity last year, but the city has put a lot of efforts into making that field up there at the very northern end more accessible. So in order to park in that location, you have to come down Balloon Fiesta Parkway and then turn to the north into the lot. Our Civitans folks that will be parking cars will help direct you, as well as APD traffic.
Do you guys already have on your website, or will you post in the coming days, like a bird's eye view map of all the parking lots and the Bugs Bunny and stuff?
We will. You know, the key thing about all the different lot names and such is to make sure people remember where they park, because it's unless you have a pass, you won't be able to actually direct where it is that you can park at Balloon Fiesta Park. So, you know, somebody shouldn't, you know, say, hey, I want to be able to park in, you know, Marvin the Martian or something like that. You know, they'll be directed once they're parked. They'll be able to really notice the signs, which will be very prominent. They'll also have QR codes on there, so they'll be able to track their location on how to get back to their car by using the Balloon Fiesta app. Other questions?
What's the capability of the park and ride from Coronado, or from Cottonwood?
We actually, as far as the capacity,
Yeah, like how many per trip, I guess?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
It's probably from Cottonwood itself is probably about 6,000 people per session. We'll have actually there's 2 waves each morning or each evening. One, for example, on Saturday morning, the first one is loading at 4 a.m. coming in, and the next one's loading at 5:30. And altogether, there should be roughly 6,000 people out of Cottonwood, as well as Coronado and Hoffmantown. So altogether, roughly $18,000 people per session.
Great. Of course, we do recommend Park and Ride as the easiest way to get onto Balloon Fiesta Park. In addition, we also have the bike valet, where guests can take their bike up the North Diversion Channel, cross over the bridge, and then park their bike for free, and then pay for their admission. Of course, you know, tips are always appreciated for the folks working bike valet. Other questions? All right. Thank you very much. All of the folks here will be available for one-on-ones. Thank you very much.